age ago, the beating heart of our people was a king who knew only victory. He wanted nothing more than an honorable death on the battlefield. Yet, none could match him, and so he wandered the earth, becoming lost in time and tide. Then we too lost our honest purpose, while silk-clad men sat upon the throne. But tremble now, all cities that lay under the stars, for out of the shadows and mists of the land of promise, our courage has been rekindled, our heart has returned, and the world will burn.
All right, how's everybody doing tonight? So, as always, if someone could give me a shout out, John, maybe in the comments, let me know that you hear me, so I know I'm not talking to myself. That'd be great. We only have 2 days left until the opening of Krom the Destroyer. So if anybody, I'm sure we only have a few people in the chat right now. We're going to get some more in here, I know. But if you haven't signed up for Krom the Destroyer yet, you have 2 days left. And if you sign up on that early bird page, which the link for that is in the description, then thank you, John. Sounds good. Great. Link for that is in the description, the early bird sign up page. If you sign up early, you'll get an email on Friday as soon as we go live, and you'll get a free pinup poster with your order, which is exclusive only if to those people. Only those people who sign up early get this poster, and it's an original piece of art that I had done up for this poster itself. It's not something else you're going to find anywhere else, and it's only available if you sign up early. So anyway, if anybody wants that poster, you got to sign up. And besides that, we open on Friday. I'm not entirely sure what time we're opening up on Friday. I'm doing a couple of little things with Indiegogo, making sure everything is right. I want to make sure we're not shadow banned this time. So I'm going to be playing around with it during the day at some point. I will go live and everybody will get an email at that point. I'm not going to go live on anybody's live stream. Again, trying to do that little fancy footwork with Indiegogo to make sure that nothing happens. It still may be shadow banned, but I'm going to try a couple of things to make sure that that's not going to happen as much as possible. I am going to be doing a live stream with Michael Bancroft on the Friday night, which I do believe it's 9 o'clock Eastern. That will be starting that. I'll see if I can get a couple other people on with me. My 2 artists might have some interest in showing up there as well, which would be Jim O'Reilly and Nick Axe. And if we can all come together on Michael Bancroft's show for that opening night, that would be great. Opening day is usually the biggest day for sales besides the closing day. And I'm opening this campaign up for 60 days. So hopefully we'll get a lot of traction on this. And if anybody has any questions about Krom the Destroyer, my new return to form for low fantasy, which is the new book coming out, you go ahead and ask them in the comments, and I'll see if I can get to them. Otherwise, I'm going to ramble on a little bit about, I think, Irish myth today, about the origins of these stories for Conan, and what I'm trying to do, and bring this back to its original form of the character I think that Robert E. Howard wanted to create. So I just want to say hello to a couple of people in the chat. We got John's Longbox is in the chat. If anybody wants a good showcase channel for good older comics, go over to John's YouTube channel. Great showcase for good comics back when merit meant something within the comic industry. We got Gordon in the chat. Who else we got in here? Let's see. Oh, Jim is in the chat. Oh, Jim, let me see. I am going to give me 2 seconds, Jim, and we might pull Jim into this chat here as well. I am going to send him an email right now with the link if he wants to join. I will do that. I'm not looking at my screen right now, so hopefully I'm going to give you guys a little bit to think about when I'm going to talk about um, the original idea for Krom the Destroyer and going back to the Irish myth. I'm just trying to do two things at once here. I apologize for my slow talking here. Unfortunately, I'm not getting into my Gmail right now to send that that link to Jim. If you could all just give me 1 minute, I'm going to see if I can do that. I'm going to play the second trailer for Krom the Destroyer here. Hopefully everyone oh, Jim says he's chowing down at dinner at the moment, so he won't be joining me right now. He's eating. He's got a mouthful of food. Okay, so let's see. I was going over who's in the chat here. Everyone says can't wait for Krom the Destroyer. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. We are going live, as I said, this Friday. Let's see who else we got here. We have people talking to each other in the chat. Great. Okay. We got 16 people in the chat. So let's talk about Krom the Destroyer. Again, this is a return to form for low fantasy. And again, you have any questions, put them in the comments and put a question mark on it, and I'll get to you after I stop talking and answer your questions. But again, what is a return to form for low fantasy? I am going in the direction of Robert E. Howard. I think that is the apex of low fantasy. If you want high fantasy, I don't think you go to Robert E. Howard. That is low fantasy all the way. So again, return to form, trying to get back to that. And one of the things that we have in this campaign is a print story by me, which it occurs during two of the chapters, between two of the chapters within Krom the Destroyer itself. So it's a little side story. Now, I created this side story because ANVIL magazine, Iron Age ANVIL magazine #1, which just came out and they're shipping right now. If you can go on Indiegogo and take a look at that, you might still be able to snag a copy of ANVIL Iron Age magazine #1. But and that has a story in it from Razor Fist and a couple other people, because it's a conglomerate of good Iron Age stories that they just choose from the best. So I contacted Richard, who over at Iron Age, and I submitted a story from Krom the Destroyer for print in Iron Age #2, which is I think going to start up within a month, when you can get the Iron Age. I guess the entire title is ANVIL Iron Age, which is the magazine title. And for the second edition, this Krom story is going to be printed there as well. Now, it's a print story, but you will be able to get it also with my campaign, as I think a leaflet, a booklet, as in to say it's about the story itself is about 6 pages long, and there's 2 spectacular pieces of art that are going to be accompanying this story. Just the 2 pieces of art. You're looking at one in the background right now. This blue picture, which is only a cropped part of the picture itself, and I'll put the other one up 1 second here. Just let me put again, this is only a cropped version, a very small portion of the other piece of art that's going to be accompanying this story. Okay, so again, these are going to be available on my campaign for Krom the Destroyer, but they're going to go into print first within ANVIL Iron Age magazine #2, which again, their campaign starts fairly soon. I do believe within a month. Richard over there at Iron Age is trying to get all of the first issue out and shipped to backers before he moves on to the second campaign, which he is moving with spectacular speed. Let me tell you that. So the point is that I created this story, which what I did when I was thinking about writing Krom itself, I went back and listened to, instead of rereading, all of the Robert E. Howard short stories. And well, some of them are not so short, some of them are a little bit longer. But at the same time, if you go over to, I think where I listened to them on YouTube was the Cybrarian. He does a great job. And I listened to them all over again, as much as he has on his channel. And then if there was any others, I did go over to other channels as well. But again, I was steeping myself in that Robert E. Howard way of speaking, way of describing things. And that's where Krom the Destroyer came from. And at the same time, there are things within the comic itself which you're not going to get with Robert E. Howard's style because it's just a different medium. So I decided that I would do a print story in addition to the normal story, which is Krom the Destroyer. So again, I went back to that Robert E. Howard way of speaking, that Robert E. Howard way of creating a universe, creating characters, and I tried to channel all of that into this short story, which again will be available both on Krom the Destroyer campaign and ANVIL Iron Age magazine #2, with the art, some of which you're looking at in the background. Again, this is a cropped version of the art. And so that's the kind of return to low fantasy that I want. Again, I'm always of the opinion that you can't break the rules unless you know the rules. And I'm at that point where I'm imitating the greats. I'm taking what I can from great authors and great comic makers. I'm reading a lot. Again, I steep myself in all of this stuff in order to absorb it, reading and listening to Robert E. Howard, going back and looking at Roy Thomas, and all of the great art from Marvel's Conan the Barbarian, and then Conan the King, and then Savage Sword of Conan, all of that kind of thing. So again, steeping myself in all of that. That's where I'm drawing my inspiration from. If you follow me on Twitter, which is RJ of the Island, you'll see that I'm posting almost nothing but fantasy stuff right now and a lot of Conan things. It's because that's what I'm going through. I say every time I post something, this is part of my inspiration, because it is. Something that I'm posting there is going to be inspirational to me, whether it be a picture of Kull or Conan or Solomon Kane or something that's D&D or Lord of the Rings. Doesn't matter. These are inspirational points that I take my personal inspiration from when I'm writing these stories. But mostly, as I said, return to low fantasy, Robert E. Howard way of telling a story. And I think, I don't know, by the way, I think that one of the stretch goals will be that I can write a second story, which will be a print story, which will be available in Krom the Destroyer. Again, that will probably be a stretch goal. Once we get a certain amount of money, I will do that. It's that would be a very easy stretch goal for me. I say writing within the Robert E. Howard way of talking, it takes me a little bit of time, but at the same time, it's something I can complete by myself and just put in there as print. So I'm going to see if I have any questions here before moving on and talking a little bit more about the low fantasy that I'm trying to create with Krom Destroyer, because I don't want to ignore the chat. Let's see. I gotta scroll up a little bit here. Just 1 second. Let's see. Gordon says, there's no better named artist for this project than Nick Axe. I honestly don't know if that's Nick's real name or not. We've only talked, well, Nick and I have been talking for quite a while, but usually via email. And I had not even talked to him face to face. Not even face to face, but, one on one until we did something with Thomas Valiant. But yeah, he has a great name, whether it's a pen name or not. I am not entirely sure. But yeah, we have Jim O'Reilly and Nick Axe. Again, Jim O'Reilly is a great name also for someone who is going to be writing a Conan inspired comic book. Why? Because Conan's inspired by Irish mythology. Some might say Celtic mythology, but I take it to be much more of an Irish mythology than a Scottish mythology. So even though I'm a Scot, and I would love it to be more Scottish, but it's much more Irish. So let's see. Scrolling down, see if we have any questions or any good comments here. Uh, uh, What's the difference between oh, don't get me going. What's the difference between low fantasy and high fantasy? I did an entire 45-minute video on this about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago on my channel. You should go look that up. I think it has a Star Destroyer and let's see, the Enterprise as the thumbnail. So you want my version of what the difference is between high fantasy and low fantasy, go listen to that after we're done here, because again, I go into it for like 45 minutes. I say low fantasy is your gritty everyday I don't know, experience with the characters, but at the same time, you have some fantastical elements. Again, in my other video, I'll go much deeper into this, but wherein you have high fantasy, there's a way of thinking that there's a patterned, systematized set of rules that is imposed upon the reality, which is something that doesn't exist within our reality. That would be my definition, really. So, low fantasy, you have things that are going on which are fantastical but not really explained. High fantasy, you have an entire separate layer of basically reality, which is again systematized and you can follow it through, as in it's not something that's in the shadows. So that would be my difference. So for the low fantasy that I'm doing for Krom the Destroyer, there's a lot of things in there which again I take my inspiration from Robert E. Howard, and there's a lot of things that aren't explained in Robert E. Howard's stories. A lot of things where you gotta fill in the blanks yourself. There's enough there for you to understand and enjoy, but again, I like to write stories which are interactive in a way. That is to say that the audience does have some participation in it. Although I'm going in a certain direction with the story, I'm not going to fill in every blank. And that's for you to do, because I love those kinds of stories. It gets me thinking about those stories. And I would say that the more a reader thinks about a story, the more they're going to be invested in the story, and the more they're going to come back for more. And that's what I want to do, because this is all based on whether or not people are going to buy this book. If they don't buy this book, we won't be doing another Krom the Destroyer. If this book does well, then we're going to be doing another one. I want to do a lot of these if possible. So we're trying to get this done, and we'll see how much we can make and support for this kind of low fantasy genre, because I think really that's where people want to go right now. They're so tired of this nonsensical, we'll say fantastical, nonsensical layer of garbage on top of everything within your entertainment today, that you want to go back to the basics. So yeah, we want to go back to low fantasy. All right, so scrolling down, let's see. John says low fantasy has less magic. I would say less explanation of magic to some extent. Let's see, more close to real history. John says again, yes. But again, for my stories, that's the thing. Both of those things are true. I explained this in a live stream a couple of weeks ago, that there are things within the world, again, of Krom the Destroyer, which look like magic. But again, this is the world. This is, thousands of years before the Thomas Valiant world, but it's the same world. So you will have characters that have superpowers in this world eventually. So if someone's doing something that looks magical, is it magic? You don't know. Is it science that isn't explained thousands of years ago? You don't know. It could be. Is it an illusion? There's a lot of illusion that is used within the story. It could be many, many different things. So that's the way that my stories go. Again, you can hopefully fill in the blanks with what you see as the most fantastical, the best way of explaining those fantastical. So again, hopefully that will make the story better. Let's see. Snakes. Someone says, Robert says, snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? Why? Because if you want to follow a Robert E. Howard way of telling a story, you're going to have a lot of apes and a lot of snakes. That's just the way it is. Although I have to say, I think, I don't know. I don't think this was a creation of Dungeons and Dragons anyway, but honestly, I think it might have been a creation more of Robert E. Howard, but the D&D Yuan-ti, I think if that's the way it's pronounced, are very, very good creatures to use. I think they were introduced more in Kull than in Conan. But anyways, yes, snakes. There are snakes. Let's see. Let's see. Gordon Goodbrother has a question. Let's see. Will the same story illustrations that appear in your booklet appear on Anvil #2? Yes. But at the same time, this is within magazine format. So I talked to Richard, and I had one illustration that was going to go along with the story, and he said, "Hey, why don't we get a second one done?" So we decided to go that route and get a second one done. They will both appear in there, but I don't think they're going to appear anywhere near the size that you're going to be able to get within Krom the Destroyer. I'm playing with the idea that both of these will be available as pinup posters and available with the story itself, so that you could get it either way, because they are spectacular pieces of art. I have to say, they're all done in a pen and ink style. I can't remember Luke's last name. It's a Polish last name. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm so bad with names. But anyways, he works in pen drawing, which is what the basis of these illustrations are, and he does spectacular work. It's much different than what you would get as a normal drawing for a comic book. It's much more of an illustration, again, that you would get in something like Robert E. Howard's original magazines that he published in. That's the kind of thing that I was going for. I was originally, again, going to go with just the pen and ink, which is black and white, but I had my Ibrahim, I had him do the coloring for these two just to see how it would turn out, and they turned out spectacular. So we're probably going to just go with those, and not the black and white at all. We'll go with these colored images. I'll give you once again, I'm showing you in the background these two pictures right here that are going to be going along with that story. Oh, let me show this one again. I'll put that up for a couple more minutes before I put on a slideshow of the Krom the Destroyer art itself from Nick X and from Jim O'Reilly. Let's see if we got any more comments. And my chat just jumped because I switched screens. So give me 1 second. So yes, to answer your question, Gordon, they will appear in the booklet in Iron Age #2. At the same time, I've been talking to Richard, and I think what I'm going to do also is offer a perk on my campaign, which, because Richard's book is going to come out far before mine, because everybody has to submit their entire completed work for Iron Age magazine #2 by the 15th of July. So we won't be done of our art by that time by any means. We're about a third of the way through, a little more than a third of the way through. But he'll be publishing before we are. But at the same time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer some issues of Iron Age magazine #2 on my campaign for Krom the Destroyer, so that you can buy them there as well, and they will be signed by me. So that's the extra little thing. So I'll be buying probably about 10 or 15 from Richard, and he'll ship them to me as soon as they're printed, and I'll be signing them and shipping them out for anybody who wants those. So that will be part of the campaign for Krom the Destroyer. So a lot of things going on, in the background. We have a lot of interest in this book. Let's see. Old man is here. I love that picture, old man. Every time I see Leonard Nimoy or Spock playing the guitar, I'm excited to see old man. Let's see. Old man says Krom the Destroyer doesn't show up in the search bar on Indiegogo. Direct link works though. Funny thing is Google search works. First result is a link to the book on Indiegogo. Well, that's good to know. I will keep that in mind. Again, I don't know if Indiegogo actually lets you search the sign-up pages. So that might be why it's not showing up in Indiegogo itself. So as soon as we go live, I will be testing that out, and we'll see. There's an easy way to test it. Someone got a hold of me when I asked a question. within one of my videos about being shadow banned. They said, you want to know if you're shadow banned for sure, you go to the page, you click on view source code, and you look for this very specific bit of source code, and if it's there, you're banned. Again, it's an easy thing to look for, so that's what I'm going to look for. See if I can, I don't know, we'll say sidestep that a little bit, and make sure that it doesn't happen to this campaign. So let's see. Oh, we got David here. Let's see. David says hello. How you doing, David? And let's see here if we got da, 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 da. Jim says, you can send the chat if you like. No worries. Either way, don't want to mess with your flow. Sorry, Jim, but quite honestly, I tried to sign into my Gmail because unfortunately, and most people who follow my chat streams know that I use satellite internet, so I have to have everything closed down on my computer. I have to have everything closed down on my computer in order to just to have everything running correctly. And then there is a slight delay, which you wouldn't notice unless I'm talking to someone else. But the point is that I closed everything down, and now it won't let me back into my Gmail without signing in through extra codes, which I have to get out of my phone, which I can't do right now. So I apologize, Jim. I was hoping to get you on, but I can't actually open any of the tabs right now besides my Gmail, which I can't access right now. So I am going to see if we can get to chat another time where hopefully we can have a little bit more time, because tonight I'm going to probably stick to my 1 hour. We've already almost hit the half-hour mark, just because I'm trying desperately to make sure everything has T's crossed and I's dotted over in my campaign page. So apologies, Jim, for that. So I'm going to show you a little bit of Jim's work here in the background. Give me 2 seconds. Well, this is not just Jim's. This is Jim O'Reilly and Nick Axe both. I'm going to put up some art in the background here for everybody to see. And there we go. And we'll go back to the comments. Let's see here before I start rambling again, see if we have any new comments. Again, every time I switch screens, it jumps my chat and I don't know where I was. I have to scroll up and then scroll back down. Let's see. Statement here about Conan. I think Conan goes into the public domain in 2027. Well, it's actually in the public domain in Europe right now. It's not in the public domain in the US right now. Whether or not it is, I don't know if the rest of North America follows US copyright laws or whatever it is, that to make sure it doesn't go into the public domain. If you can do it in Mexico or Canada, I don't know. But again, that's the thing. It's public domain in part of the world right now. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of interest in the low fantasy because of all of that. So let's see. Scrolling down. Let's see. I think there's a question here. No question mark. Zaktan says, I know I meant to do early bird sign up. Is there a way to self-verify if I succeeded? There's no way to self-verify, but if you go over and leave your email again, it will basically, and I'm not sure if it will reject it if you've already signed up with your email, but if you didn't and you put in the email again, it'll only show up once. So you go on over, the link is in the description for Krom the Destroyer, the sign up page, leave your email again, and that way you'll make sure that you are signed up if you really want to, really want to make sure. George says, when I clicked on the early sign up, it said my email is already listed. So hopefully I did it right. So yeah, George just confirmed that there. If you go over there and enter your email again, it says you're signed up, then you're signed up and you don't have to worry. Okay, let's see. Scrolling down. See if we got any more questions. I think there's a question mark. Hopefully it's for me here. What would you say is the limit between exploring too much explaining too much or explaining too little in a story? Well, that would be editorial. let's see what my editor used to tell me, because I have worked with several professional editors when I got the manuscript for my novel edited again, which is still in manuscript form because I haven't gotten it published yet. But basically, your editor will say to you, if it doesn't flow enough so that the audience can pick up on it and understand what's going on, at the very least, understand there's a mystery of what's going on and that it's something that they're not supposed to know right at this moment. All of that needs to be answered in some way. If you can't connect the dots at all, if there's a gap within your canon, and the way it connects together, then your editor is going to tell you it's no good. Send it back and do it again. So that's what I'm used to while working with professional editors. So that's the way I view trying to make sure that we have good low fantasy, but it's just enough. So when I talk about the systems, well, not really the system, but what is seen as magic within the Krom the Destroyer world, again, it could be several different things. It could be illusion, it could be science, it could be superpowers, it could be just some technology that you might not have right now, like ways to make potions or just mixing of chemicals. You know, it could be science, these kinds of things. But again, it's something that is there for me, anyways, and for my writing. It is there and it does contribute to the story, but it doesn't need to be explained in order for you to understand the story. That would be my caveat for trying to put such things within a story. So let's see, scrolling down. Da, 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 da. I don't think this is a question for me, but I'm going to read it anyways. George says, the only good thing about the Momoa Conan is the beginning, showing his birth on the battlefield. However, that test of manhood was stupid. He really had that egg in his mouth during a, I'm not sure what that means. He really had that egg in his mouth during a fight. I don't remember the. I quite honestly, I've seen the Momoa Conan probably more than once, but I could not tell you what the story was. So that's how forgetful it was for me, anyways. Whereas even though the the Arnold Schwarzenegger Conan the Barbarian does not follow the Conan mythos at all from beginning to end, it draws in strains of different characters, but at the same time it's much more memorable. Let's see, scrolling down, see if we got any more questions. George says yes, the snake people are a cold villain. Let's see, even though it would be Conan's son who would kill the last of the snake men. So yeah, I think of them in reference to the D&D way of referring to them. And again, I don't know if it's exclusive to them or they came up with the title itself, which is Yeonti, which again, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but yes. Let's see, there's a lot of snakes within all of Robert E. Howard. Again, I guess, well, he lived in Texas, so a lot of snakes. All right, scrolling down, scrolling down. Let's see. I always get Cull and Crow mixed up. Yeah, okay, Michael. I love Crow. That's a great story, a great movie. I love that movie as a kid. I used to watch it over and over again. Let's see. Scrolling down. Scrolling down. A lot of people talking to each other in the comments. Yes, Gordon Goodbrother has Luke's last name, Korolowski. I think it's Polish, but anyways, he is the artist for the two pieces that I show at the first of this, and I'll show them again, which is the two pieces that are going along with the print story that's going to be available as a perk within Krom the Destroyer and available as part of Iron Age ANVIL magazine #2. So let's see. Here we go. Scrolling down, scrolling down. See if we have any more questions. George has a lot of good statements, not quite questions, but we'll read it anyways. What I liked about Cull is the snake men were shapeshifters. To solve this, Cull made them say a phrase which they could not do. That is how. I'll have to read that again. Ko made them say a phrase which they could not do. That is how he was able to root them out. Yes, indeed. Great, great storytelling. I love those snake and again shape-shifting characters. Shape-shifting characters are so fun. I love doppelgangers in that way, not so much as in creating an exact copy of people, but shapeshifters themselves. Although I don't really have any shapeshifters in my stories, except if in Thomas Valiant you want to count my werewolf girl. I guess she's a bit of a shapeshifter, but she can only turn into a werewolf. Let's see, scrolling down, scrolling down. Da da. Scrolling down. Robert has a question, although let's see. Do I like Fringe? I loved Fringe. Fringe was a great, great show. I honestly think that that's what when I was watching Fringe originally when it came out, I thought to myself, and it was a time when I had given up on comic books because they were just starting into the whole nonsensical woke agenda with in their storytelling. But I thought to myself, and I was thinking partly about Superman Red and Blue, which is an old Superman story, and then they brought back in the '90s. But I thought to myself, within Fringe, what they should have done. I mean, they did it spectacularly in what they did, but what they could have done was have a double show which was under the same banner, and they would have because they had a duplicate world of what was the normal world, and that duplicate world was being destroyed. I thought to myself, the best thing that they should have done was to take one show and do it according to one world view, and then the next show and do it to the other world, and then flip back and forth and back and forth. That would have made a really spectacular television, and it would have been like two shows in one. It would have been amazing if you ask me. And you could even get different characters for each show that were brought in so that you could have so much going on at the same time. And I thought to myself, comics should do that, or at the very least, something like Marvel Comics. But again, that's been destroyed. So, but yes, love that show. I don't own any of it, unfortunately. I probably will have to get some hard copy media of that. Again, we have Luke's picture here in the background, colored. And I'm going to put up some more. I think I'll put out some black and white here for 1 second, which is much more of the new art from Nick Axe. What I've been showing you up until now in the slideshows. Oh no, there's some here from Jim as well. So there's Jim O'Reilly and Nick Axe here within this black and white stuff, which is the newer things for what we have just gotten for Krom the Destroyer. Okay, I'm getting behind here on the chat, so I'm going to try to keep up. Do I make pages? Let me just put this up. Do you make the pages in order or some other sequence? Well, we make pages in order because I write a full script for each chapter. Again, the book is separated into 3 chapters so that each is 22 pages roughly, so that it can be in some time in the future possibly published in floppy format, so we can break it up into 3 different books. That might be it's a might be in the future, but I always keep on trying to make sure that those things are there. So yeah, I write an entire script and per chapter. So Jim is handling the art for the first chapter, but again, Nick is handling the art for the second chapter. So while each of those artists are doing them in order, there's 2 chapters being worked on at once now, and I love Nick's work. I wanted him to do a Pulse story from if you know that character from Thomas Valiant, my other book, and we still have that on tap. But at the same time, and I would, I would have loved to have Jim do the entire Crom book, but at the same time, I can't expect the audience to wait. I want to get these books out as quickly as possible. So I'm going to probably have at least 2 artists on each book from now on so that we can double team the art and get it moving out to our audience. Because again, and it's not only respect for the people that order the books and try to get them out as quickly as possible to them, but I also want to meet my deadlines. And the closer that we can open up another book, the more we can have momentum to keep these going, because again, we're trying to build a new system of comic distribution and storytelling that's based on merit once again. So yeah, we do our pages in sequence, although we have two artists working at the same time. So scrolling down, if I miss anybody's question, just put it back in the comments and I'll see if I can answer it. I'm looking for question marks for questions, so hopefully I won't miss anybody's questions. Scrolling down, let's see. Random says, sounds like you need a new computer. Well, it's not that, it's the connection. Again, it's my satellite internet. I live literally in the woods. Um, and the only thing, like, I don't even, there's no phone line coming in here, so I can't have regular internet. There, and I wasn't going to pay the thousands upon thousands of dollars to have telephone poles put in so that it could reach from where the nearest connection would be to my house. So I just use the cell phone and I just use satellite internet because I live back in the woods. So yeah, that's the problem there. Let's see, scrolling down, scrolling down. Okay, I am going to re-up some of the art again. And again, I'm going to lose my place, but we'll put on some more art here for a second. This is the early version of the art, the first one I did for these little slideshows. So might have some earlier forms of the art than what you've been looking at. Mostly, again, the cover is from Nick Axe, but most of what you're going to see here is from Jim O'Reilly. Let's see, scrolling down, see if there's any more questions for me. Scrolling down. Some people talking about Optimus Prime. Glad to see people talking in the comments. I'm really glad that everybody can have a good time here. That's what we want. We want comics to be fun. That's one of the things. I'm not exactly the fun writer. I'm real deep, serious, and mysterious when it comes to the stories themselves. So have fun in the comments. Great. Because I want comics to be fun. Let's see. Scrolling down to again talking about Optimus Prime. Let's see. Again, someone random saying maybe an upgrade to my internet. It's not possible. Again, I can only get it through the satellite, and I might switch to a different satellite company if they can go faster, but I don't think that's possible right now. Let's see. Scrolling down. Oh, John's still here. Will I be, I don't know. Will I be represented in Krom? Let me take this comment off. Oh. There's a fella in, let's see. If you want to be one of the barbarian hordes, that's in the first couple of pages, that's attacking our main character. That's your representation, John. There you go. You're part of the barbarian horde. One of the bearded barbarian hordes. There you go. There's your representation. That's about all I care about for representation. I want people to have a good time with the story. Again, that's why we start off with action, and it just ramps up from there. Let's see. Scrolling down. Let's see if we got any more questions. Let's see. A lot of people talking again. Oh, here we got a question here. What is happening? Oh, we have Nick's here. Nick is here. So Nick, again, Jim is here and Nick is here, both of my artists. Nick, if you're still there, again, I'm way back in the comments, but if you're still there, I was hoping I could pull some of my artists into this live stream, but my computer is not being, what do you would say? It's just being difficult. That's basically it. So my two artists for my book are here for Krom the Destroyer. And again, I will be hopefully doing a live stream with them in the next couple of days if we can all get together. Again, it's a tight schedule right now trying to get everything together. So I apologize if that doesn't happen. So scrolling down, George, again, I'm going to read George's comment. They're always great. I can't remember what show it was, but there was a good line where they said, all magic is science that can't be explained. Well, again, to some extent, we'll go with that. But again, at the same time, um, we have some things in here, which again, you have superpowers within these characters, and I haven't explained, nor do I wish to explain the superpower origin of the characters. It might come sometime way down the line, but again, that's not exactly scientific. So, hey, let's see. Scrolling down. Let's see. Nick says I'm drawing pages as I listen. See, drawing pages of Krom the Destroyer as he listens to a stream about Krom the Destroyer. Inception. I tell you, Inception, right there. Let's see. Scrolling down. Scrolling down. Let's see if we have any more questions. Da, 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 Scrolling down. Let's see. Random says, I'm a filthy liberal, so I have to ask, what's the overall appeal of Conan? I get seeing big muscular men fighting monsters, but what about Conan specifically is so endearing? Um, well, if you want me to give you what I think the Robert E. Howard answered for that is, it's basically um, in a time, and again, here's Robert E. Howard, and unfortunately for the man, God rest his soul, if possible. He killed himself because he couldn't live without his mother. Quite literally, he killed himself. He was joking with his friends, the people that he knew, that when his mother died, because he just had his mother and he was taking care of his mother and his mother was taking care of him, he would joke with his friends that as soon as his mother died, he would kill himself. And that's what actually happened. His mother died. And then, as far as I know, according to the documentaries that I've watched, he basically walked out to his car and then shot himself in the head. So again, he had some problems, and part of those problems are some of the problems that we see around us today. It's the fact that again, I'm sure that he would not like me talking about his mother in this fashion, but it is something that really needs to be said for some people like this. If you're that mentally scarred, that when your mother dies, you got to go kill yourself. There's something wrong there, obviously, and it's something that has to do with your mother. Again, I think Robert E. Howard was um, trying to, for himself, make a picture of a masculine man that he could identify with, to try to understand his own masculinity in a way that wasn't being represented, if you want to put it in those modern terms. It wasn't being brought out through the life that he was living and taking care of his mother. It was something that was smothered, most probably. And again, we see that over and over and over again today. So it's a picture of manhood. I think that's the real appeal to it. Again, my picture of manhood is not the exact same as Robert E. Howard's picture of manhood. But again, that was something that I myself had to understand and really plumb the depths of when I was trying to grow up. Was, what is a man? Because what does it mean to actually move from being a boy to a man? That was the real question that I had, and you weren't going to get that question answered from society, and that was, you know over 20 years ago, maybe even 30 years ago now. So today's day and age, you're not going to get that at all. So to give people a picture of manly quality, and manly virtue, and being stalwart, and it's not just the muscle, because the muscle is a representation of discipline. Discipline that again is expressed within virtues like courage, and being stalwart, and being temperate, all these kinds of things. You temper your body through that muscular physique. Again, all these kinds of things. So I think that's the real appeal to Conan, to people who at some point have lost their way in trying to understand either what it is to be a man to begin with, or have lost their way and want to reconnect with the idea of true masculine virtue and true masculinity. Where, again, because Robert E. Howard does, although he puts down Conan, and we're most used to thinking of Conan as the barbarian, in his stories, he gives him an honorable place and a way of acting which does not have what we would normally think of barbaric characteristics. He has honor. He has a code that he lives by. He has things that he will do and things that he will not do. He treats, again, he has these women all over him all the time. But at the same time, if you look at, Beyond, I can't remember the story it is, Beyond the Shadow or the Slithering Shadow, I think it was. There was a woman who was trying to entice Conan. And so basically, Conan and this other woman were the sole survivors of a battle, and they escaped into this city that had been hidden in the desert. And this city in the desert had this woman, again, this supremely attractive woman, and she was trying to steal Conan away from this woman that he had fled the battle with. And even though Conan wanted her, he said no. He said, "No, I'm not doing that," because he knew that, he was devoted to the woman that he had at his side, and he wasn't going to step over that line. There are things like that over and over again. And I guess the Valley of the Lost Women, you again have this woman who basically says she will do anything if Conan will free her from her enslavement. And then he does free her from her enslavement. And then she basically offers her body to him. And he says, "I'm not taking that, because that's not free. You're not freely giving that to me. You're taking what you have as your body and giving it to me as a price, and I'm not taking that." So there is masculine virtue within Conan. It's not just the rippling muscles. Again, probably went on for much too long answering that question, but great question indeed. Let's see. Scrolling down, I lost my place once again. Let's see. If I can find where I was scrolling up, because I lost my place. Give me 1 second, see if I can find out. I'm way far behind. Oh, yeah, I'm way far behind on this chat. So I'm going to see if I can move with speed. Let's see. Nick says, "The demon woman looking over king." Yes, that's one of the pictures. Great picture that Nick had been working on for chapter 2. Let's see. Scrolling down. Let's see if there's any more questions for me. Can't really. Let's see. Scrolling down. So Jim. Let's see. There's a part of the conversation between Jim and Nick, which I'm going to put up here. Jim says, "RJ lays out a nice specific script. He knows how he wants to tell the story." Well, I try to do my best. It's just because, again, I'm trying to make sure that we follow the rules before we break the rules. Again, and I try to give my artists enough freedom within certain pages to say, "Go to town. You want to break the rules? Here's your chance." So that's where I try to see and test the limits of both myself and my artists, so that I can understand what they're capable of and they know what I'm trying to do. So yeah, if when we do, like with Renzo, I've done 2 books now. We're working on a third one. I know the limits of Renzo. I know what he wants to do. I know how he's going to specifically lay out a page in fun ways, and I give him that option much more. So hopefully, Jim, we'll get to that point where we have much more of a flow. So scrolling down, let's see. Scrolling down, David has a question. "Will you be doing any stories in a medieval setting?" Yes, I'm trying to build a world which is very much like Robert E. Howard. Again, a lot of people will discuss these things with me and come up with different ideas than I do. But my real picture of what Robert E. Howard tried to do with his building of his world and his age is that he tried to take all the great civilizations of Europe and basically put them into one map. Just give me 1 second here. So he tried to take all of the great civilizations of Europe and put them into one map, into one place. So you have the ancient Greeks, which are in Corinthia, I think. And then you have the ancient Egyptians at their height, where they're the Stygians. And you have the Aquilonians, which are medieval French. And you have the Picts, which are the most savage of the basically the Scottish tribes at the time. So he takes all of these things and he puts them into one map. So you do have a medieval setting within Conan itself. Um, and you'll see this. One of the stories, if you look at even Marvel's version of Conan, when he becomes king, he wears Greek armor, and he's the king of Aquilonia, which is basically a medieval French town, and all these kinds of things. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'll be moving into a medieval period with any stories themselves. That's certainly not out of the question. I just don't have one in my head right now. I am going to jump around very much with my timeline, and everything's going to be in the same world. But again, you're probably going to get a lot more flavor of the medieval with Krom the Destroyer if we continue on with books. And I'm looking like from the support that I've got so far, just from people signing up, that we'll probably be doing more than one book. So yeah. But again, that's why I have that timeline on the front of every cover of each of my books, to give you the exact time within the world that these stories take place, so that you can place them much more easily in your head. So let's see. Question here. Do you use historical references for your stories? Yes, indeed. I gave I gave Jim O'Reilly a plethora of pictures which were for different kinds of warriors, because part of the first chapter, within the first couple of pages, basically you have a band of warriors which are made up of this eclectic band of we'll say elite warriors from all over a European continent, and you'll see them right there in the background right now. And they were all taken from historical references. So the historical references are not only for their weaponry and how they would fight, but also for what they would look like, all these kinds of things. So yes, indeed. I that is one of the things I love to do with writing, is I look for limits, and then I use those limits in order to allow the story to tell itself. So that's basically what I do. I'll give you an example of that, which isn't from Krom the Destroyer, but it's the best example that I have. Within the manuscript for my novel, I had basically said to myself, okay, I'm going to set the novel in this specific place, which is a real place within the world. And I needed to get my characters from point A to point B on the map, and I knew those points as they exist in reality. And I said to myself, okay, how are they getting there? Well, they're walking. That's the only way they can get there. And if they're going at a normal walking speed, I needed to calculate normal walking speed and then find out, according to the trail that they would have to take, again, which exists, how long it would take them to get from point A to point B. So I do that all the time with my writing. I love doing that because, again, it gives me parameters of reality that allow me to let the story tell itself to some extent. And historical references is one of those things. If I say, this is your historical reference, Jim, for this character and that character, we have some of these characters are going to recur. That shapes the rest of the story and how they're going to act. And if you have an ancient Greek warrior, and the ancient Greek warrior is going to be there within your story, he's going to not only act as an ancient Greek warrior on the battlefield, not just look like an ancient Greek warrior, but act like an ancient Greek warrior throughout the story. So those kinds of things. Love historical references. I'm very much history, well, not just a history buff. I have degrees in history. That was my first degree, was in history, but I found that I couldn't do very much with that. So, history and classics, which is ancient history and language and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Scrolling down. Let's see. Scrolling down. Uh, Nick says these panels are huge on the screen, but small on the page. Well, that's the thing. Hopefully, we'll get everybody. The thing is that I agree. The thing with Renzo's art is that it looks so huge on the screen to me when he was sending it to me for the first book of Thomas Valiant. You did lose some of it when you went into print, because it just is reduced to such a small space on the page. And, I bemoan the fact a little bit that no one else is going to see the art in the extent that I see the art for any of these books, except for the artist, because it's so beautiful. It's amazing. It's a a skill that I wish that I had. I wished I had developed, but at the same time, I'm a writer, so I got that. So scrolling down, scrolling down. I think Robert is answering the question about what is Conan about. It's an escapist fun without an agenda. Sometimes it's just nights to escape. Yes, indeed. That's part of the story as well. There's fun parts where it's just entertainment. Mm, So scrolling down, let's see. Yes, yes. Gordon, this is exactly what I was saying. John's Longbox. Maybe your helm will be represented. Yes, we'll represent John with the barbarians. Not to say you're barbaric, John, but you do have a very good look to you that could be something that would be used within I don't know, a barbarian field. We'll just put it that way. All right, scrolling down, see if I can catch up here because we're already gone over an hour, and I'm going to see if I can wrap this up, but I'm nowhere near the end of the chat, so I'll get to everybody's questions first. Let's see. Scrolling down. Oh, yeah, Gordon talking about my computer not being very nice to me. Yes, indeed. George says, I think he's talking to me, is a question mark here. As long as you don't use metachlorians to explain magic. No, I am not using That was the worst thing ever to happen to Star Wars. Yes, I quite agree. Not using metachlorians. No, midichlorians, however they're called. Let's see. Scrolling down. Scrolling down. See if we have any more questions. Da-da-da-da-da. Scrolling down. Again, trying to read all these. There's a lot here. Let's see. John says, as an AD&D player, let's see, John. As a D&D player, what level and alignment is going? I have no idea, John. You will have to work that out. I think that's the John math that I'll leave that one for John. All right, scrolling down. Let's see, scrolling down. Michael says he thinks that Conan is chaotic neutral. Again, that is something that I talked about in one of my live streams just a while ago. I would say that Conan starts out as chaotic neutral, but then he becomes chaotic good once he becomes a king. Or not chaotic good, sorry, lawful good. He becomes lawful good once he becomes a king. Or at the You might be able to squeeze it into lawful neutral, but he's more of a lawful good because, again, within the Robert E. Howard stories, he's offered time and again by these invading kings and people who are trying to dethrone him. They say, listen, we'll give you more gold than you could ever hope for, that you would ever see in your entire life. We would give you riches beyond that of a king, and you just need to go away and give up the throne. And he says, no, I'm not abandoning these people. These people put their faith in me, and I, killed a rotten king that was basically destroying the kingdom and torturing people, and not just people, but even small children and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, he wasn't abandoning those people. So I would say that he indeed becomes a lawful good, and in the end. So scrolling down, da da da. Let's see. This is a good conversation. George says, I don't know how Conan could not defeat Red Sonja. She's only an 8th level ranger. He must have constantly rolled nat ones to have it be a draw. George, the explanation for him not being able to defeat Red Sonja is the fact that Red Sonja, the basic story of Red Sonja, if you remember, is the fact that as a girl, she was, well, we'll try to be YouTube friendly here since we're on YouTube. She was abused by invaders that came and destroyed her village, if I remember correctly. So she prayed to a goddess, I can't remember which one, and the goddess granted her a blessing that meant that no man could ever defeat her in battle. So this is why even Conan can't defeat her in battle. She has a blessing of a goddess that is basically a luck ring that makes sure that when, at the very least, she's sword fighting, but I really think it's any kind of fighting, she will never lose. So that does kind of make the character overpowered in some way. But again, there's limitations to that, which I'm thinking, and I can't remember off the top of my head exactly how the story goes, that some of those limitations are explored um, within the fact that, depending on she's fighting a man or a woman, all that kind of thing. So scrolling down. Let's see. Let's see. Hopefully everybody else is talking about this Red Sonja thing, but that would be my take on the Red Sonja as far as I understand the storytelling. Let's see. Scrolling down. Let's see. Scrolling down. Random does bring up some good points that we can't overlook. Let's see. So it's like The Crow, where the author reimagining himself as a force that could solve his problems with brute strength. I know that's simplistic and sexist in a way, but it does make sense. Well, to some extent, yes. I think that is to some extent where Robert E. Howard drew his original ideas from, and tried to explore that. Because again, for stories within Western civilization, stories are again a rhetorical argument and a representation of reality. That's how, from the time of Aristotle in the 4th century BC, at the very minimum, they were constructed. So, as Westerners, what we do is we use stories to explore things that normally we wouldn't have the ability to explore in our normal life. And again, I think that's what Howard was doing. He was exploring some kinds of manhood within his stories, and it helped others do the same thing within different fashions, sometimes just for pure entertainment's sake. And I think he did develop as a writer and as an individual as he wrote those stories. So there's that. So scrolling down, I'll see if I can catch up to the to the to the rest of the chat. Gordon says, RJ, you redeemed yourself after the Robert E. Howard self-deletion truth telling. uh-huh. Let's see. If we have any more questions, scrolling down. I'll see if I can. I'm not entirely sure. I'm used to Nick talking to Jim, but I'll see if this is a Jim comment for me or for the chat. There is a saying in learning Budo that one must learn to walk on the line between life and death and grab for life at the right moment. To me, that is Conan, always on the line. Yeah, again, I mentioned this. I would agree, Jim. That is part of the Conan character, which they nerfed within the recent stint of Marvel Comics. Not the older ones, but the recent ones that were written by, I don't know if it wasn't Jason Aaron that wrote them. I can't remember the writer off the top of my head. I know his name, but I can't remember it. But yeah, he basically made Conan as if he got out of all the battles because there was a witch working blood magic over top of him so that he could spill as much blood as possible. So she basically made sure that he never died in all of those battles in his life. So yeah, they nerfed the character when they did that. It was a pathetic way to deal with the storytelling there. So on Marvel's part, of course, it's modern Marvel. So what do you expect? So scrolling down, let's see. People talking about The Crow, the movie. Scrolling down, see if I can move a little faster. Scrolling down. I'm not sure if I'm missing anybody. If I'm missing any comments, please let me know. You can stick them back in the comments. Scrolling down. Let's see if I have anything else here. We got a couple of people talking about Conan. And again, Random has a comment here saying, he's talking to George. So I'll just leave that be. So it's not for me. Everybody's having a good time in the chat, in the comments. Let's see. Scrolling down. Sound Engraver's here. How you doing, Sound Engraver? Again, Sound Engraver has her own channel. You want to go over and listen to someone who has a good take on cultural happenings right now, according to someone who is trained in, I guess, musical theory and practice. So hopefully that's a good description of of your background, Sound Engraver. So scrolling down to whatever we have here left for questions. Cute Nerd says, the picture you just had up with the lady with horns would make a dope poster. I'd buy it. It is a poster. I am going to be offering it on the Indiegogo page. Again, I'm not entirely sure. I think I'm probably going to have it as two different kinds of posters. Maybe not. I still haven't decided yet, and I only have a day left to decide. But what I want to do with that and the other poster of the fellow with the flaming sword is to offer it as a oversized card, which is basically the size of a normal comic book. So it will be the size of the front cover of a graphic novel, and it will be a heavy card stock, at the very least, of Baxter paper. So it will be that kind of a poster. If you want it as a poster as well, I'll take that into consideration. That's one. I see one vote for having it just as a separate poster itself. So yeah. So scrolling down. Scrolling down. Let's see if I have any more comments here that are questions here. Let's see. Scrolling down. Hopefully you'll be patient with me. Oh, let's see. George and Random are having a comment, having a conversation. Can't even talk anymore. About some of the things that were said earlier. Alias says, "Hi, I'm late. Can you repeat everything?" Unfortunately, no. I repeat myself too much to begin with. If somebody wants me to talk more, good heavens. I don't know if you would ever want to meet me in real life. So I'll just talk your ear off. So let's see. Scrolling down. Oh, question here. Let's see. Questions for videos for another day. How to differentiate when sales means merit and when it means it's opposite, which means sex sells, yes. Also, virtue comparison, lively virtues versus ultima versus cardinal versus theological. That is one of the things I struggle with myself. And I've asked to do that again with, I don't know if it was you, Jones, that talked to me before about doing a comparison between Ultima and the actual theological and cardinal virtues. Yes, the virtues of Ultima, if you know that game, they're very much different than what you would normally get within cardinal and theological virtues. I think they're an expression of it, but holy Moses, did they ever fall down when you get to the Ultima 9 and things like that. But anyways, so yeah, good idea. And again, this is one of the things that I try to make sure I don't do with my books. This is a good point here. The difference between sales via merit, as in just sales by putting in, I don't know, TNA. Well, I guess that's it. I mean, I want to be able to show everybody beautiful women, and there's going to be beautiful women in my books, and you're going to see them. Certainly going to see them in Krom the Destroyer here. There's going to be beautiful women, and you can appreciate a beautiful woman without making it over sexualized. So again, because you take your cue, I take my cue from something like Marvel's old Conan the Barbarian, where you had these beautiful women all over the place. John Buscema just drew the most amazingly beautiful women, but he didn't over sexualize them. And again, that's the line of walking between the line of giving your audience something that's going to sell by merit, or just sell. You might as well go buy something that's just pictures, because that's all they're looking for. And again, you go on a Kickstarter, and all of these comic Kickstarters, they have this little thing to pump up their sales. And that's not what I'm doing with mine. If my books don't sell because of the story and because of the art and the merit of those two things, then they don't deserve to sell. That's as far as I'm concerned. If the only reason you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars is because you're putting these scantily clad women in the stories in positions which are suggestive, I'm sorry, but you're not doing yourself any favors. And again, I'm sure that I could take my books, and Thomas Valiant made close to $50,000. I'm sure I could probably triple that if I went this route with my stories and my art and everything else. But I'm not going there because, again, I know they're false sales. I know they're not going to last as people who are going to be attracted to the merit of the stories and the art. So, again, try to walk that line. You have beautiful women. And again, that's something that needs to be there, which Marvel and DC and every other major comic company doesn't understand today, because men and comic books, I'm sorry, are traditionally, because again, go back to scientific structure of the male eye, comic books are consumed mainly by men. And so they want to see beauty there. And part of that beauty is the female form. But again, you don't need to put it into something that's going to take away from the story. Again, I'm sorry to go off on that comment, but really that's something that needs to be said. And I want to do with my books because um, hopefully it's not going to drive away customers when I say I'm doing a story in the vein of Robert E. Howard, but it's for all ages because I do believe both of those things can happen at the same time. Because the beauty of a woman doesn't have to be sexualized in a way that is going to make it exclude an audience of children. Um, it doesn't. It just doesn't. There's a fine line to walk there. And both all of my artists know that fine line. They walk it themselves, and they do a spectacular job. Just being, you know, being respectful to the audience, the entire audience at the same time. So scrolling down, let's see, scrolling down. I'm getting finally to the bottom of the. No, I'm not. I thought I was getting to the bottom of the chat. It was just that my computer needed to re-up. Let's see. Now I got to scroll back up. Okay, I'm going to try to put up the art one more time, see if I can catch up with the chat. So again, every time I do that, I got to scroll back up. Let's see, scroll back up to see if I can find out where the last question is. Oh, there we are. So there's Jones's question. Let's see. Scrolling down here. So, scrolling down. Jim says, who is the inker on the book? Like, I don't know already. The inker for this book is Mike Gustovich. Mike Gustovich is a old Marvel and DC hand. He actually did indie comics back in the 80s under his own label. He created Justice Machine and Blue Ribbon? I can't remember the name of his other most famous character. But anyways, he did indie comics. He also worked for Marvel and DC, and he's worked on pretty much every character, mainstream Marvel and DC character that you know. He's inked or penciled Batman, Superman, Thor, Captain America, Conan, which is one of the reasons why I was attracted to get Michael to do the inks for this, because he worked on Conan the King, so he knows the kind of level of it's not just the level of merit that he brings to the page, but at the same time, he knows from experience, decades and decades of experience, how to ink these things. When at sometimes you might think to yourself, he's kind of glossing over some of the finer points of the pencils, but at the same time, he knows how much of those are going to come out on the page that's the size of a comic book, just through experience. And again, working on Batman, he did pencils for Batman for a little bit, I think, as well as inks. So yeah, old Marvel and DC hand, did Avengers, did Hulk, at the very least doing those characters within different books. So yeah, great inker, and I'm glad to have him on board. I will never actually probably get him on a live stream or anything else because he's very old school. So much so that when he's inking these pages, he's printing them off and he's using brushes and ink. So he doesn't do anything digital. Digital is not in his wheelhouse. So scrolling down, let's see. Jason says, I'm excited for this book. I only ask that posters are rolled, not folded, The folded poster with Thomas Valiant was damaged by being shipped folded. Well, Jason, that's the thing that unfortunately I can't roll the posters. That would double, at least double the shipping costs for everything, and the shipping costs are already so high. That's why, however, I want to offer some of them at the very least as these oversized cards, which are the size of a normal comic book. So they will be able to be shipped. I'll be doing this with this campaign now, and if there's really demand for them, I'll probably start doing them in a larger format, which will be a magazine sized format, which again will allow them to be shipped within the normal containers, the rigid mailers that we use, but at the same time they won't be folded, so there'll be a heavy cardstock, and there'll be a smaller version, almost something that you could put in a picture frame, but at the same time not as big as the posters. So yeah, because again, I would love to be able to sell posters that were just rolled, but it would double at the very minimum the cost for shipping for everybody who ordered a poster. So let's see. Scrolling down. Here's a question here. Have you heard of Charles Saunders' Hyborian Age inspired? I have not heard of those. Honestly, I could have and just don't know them off the top of my head, or don't remember the author's name. There's so many Conan inspired books. Even I didn't even know um, for like Marvel did a book that was like a Conan style book, which it was back in the 70s. And I always remember it as just being a ripoff of Conan, sort of. I think it was like, oh, what the heck was the name of it? I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. It's like, oh, I have one of them in a box that's sitting right next to me. But anyways, and I didn't realize that that character had its own books until recently. So yeah, I don't recall off the top of my head these books. No, I might have come across them. I might have read some of them, but there are so many things that I have forgotten now. So I don't think so. That's all I can do to answer that question. Let's see. John, I think, is taken off. I won't be here very much longer either, John. Sorry, RJ. I have to say good night and good luck. All right. So he will be backing. Thank you, John. So pictures of beautiful women have merit. You're darn tootin' that pictures of beautiful women have merit. Uh, it that is something that's a lost art for mainstream entertainment right now. So that's a beautiful way to put it, Gordon. Let's see. Scrolling down. Da, 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 da. Here's a lot of people commenting on what I was saying before. Is beauty part of the story or a crutch for the story? Exactly what I was trying to say. You don't want it to be a crutch, because, again, a story is meant to engage your mind, and you want to. I like to put it this way as well. It's meant to engage your soul as well, because that access to that beauty, it's something that you can feel in your soul and contemplate in your soul, not just something that's completely intellectual. So yeah, scrolling down. Let's see. Scrolling down. Let's see. Cute Nerd says, I don't. Let me see if this question is for me. I don't understand what the problem is with sexualizing characters in comic books aimed at adults. People enjoy looking at beautiful people, and these stories are about fantasy, the idealized form. I completely agree. But again, as I was saying within the live stream last week, I'm not going to say people can't make those books or buy those books or enjoy those books. I'm just saying that if comics are to have a future, we need to sell to all ages. Really, quite honestly, there's no future in comic books unless you can appeal to all ages at the same time. Really, I don't think there is. So scrolling down, let's see if we have any more questions. Uh, Sound engraver being very tongue-in-cheek here. What nonsense, beautiful women. Yes, indeed. Let's see, scrolling down. Scrolling down. I am apologize for everybody with my it's just, I don't know, is it just me or is it StreamYard? But every time I tried to go down in my chat, it just skips, and then all of a sudden I don't see what's going on. Anyways, people talking about Stargate Atlantis. I think I didn't miss anything. That's where I left off. Scrolling down to any more questions, see if I can get to the bottom, because we've been streaming for an hour and a half. Let's see. Mike Gustovich. Oh, Cobalt Blue. Thank you very much, Vince. Is the name of Mike Gustovich's other creation. Thank you. Thank you very much. Could not remember that off the top of my head. That's I think that's his biggest selling original creation, even bigger than Justice Machine. So, and I talked to Mike, and because Mike is doing, by the way, if you want Mike's pencils, you can go over and order a copy of the Valiant Heroes, which again, link for that is in the description as well. The campaign is still in demand, so you can order that. But he does the pencils for the Rampaging Thor, which is a 26 page story that appears within the Valiant Heroes. So again, for the Thor character within our world. So yeah, he is a beautiful penciler as well. Very old school, just beautiful art all the way. And again, thank you very much, Vince. Scrolling down, let's see if we have any more comments for me or questions for me. Let's see. Scrolling down. Hopefully I'm not leaving you with dead air. That's why I like to hit a comment every once in a while. This was not a question for me, so I'm just going to scroll down a little more. Here we. Nick says, I'll have to give you higher res files and I'll even export individual panels for your future use. Well, it's all in the sales, Nick. That's everything just comes down to how well you can get word out for your book, really. 95% of whether or not our book is going, like, I would love it to be that, 95% of everything is going to be the merit of the art and the storytelling, but I honestly think it's 80 to 90% the hype that you can generate through the good storytelling and the good art that's going to sell the book. And then you pull in that audience for someone to say, I love this artist, I love this kind of storytelling, I want more of that. So, hype is very much part of the game. So that's just where it's at. Let's see. Scrolling down. Scrolling down. And everybody talking about Stargate SG-1 Atlantis again. I think it's because Sound Engraver's here. She must be talking about it in the comments. I would love to spend time talking about that, because those are shows that I watched and enjoyed while they were on. Let's see. Scrolling down. People talking in the comments, talking about Cobalt Blue. Oh, good heavens, I'm way too far behind on these comments. Oh, Sound Engraver has a super chat for $2. Thank you very much, Sound Engraver. Again, if you want to have a look at culture through basically the same kind of structure that I'm looking at, I won't say a copy of it, more towards Professor Geek, because Sound Engraver is engaged to Professor Geek. Hopefully many happy years for the both of them. But she talks about the cultural issues according to a musical slant. So go on over to Sound Engraver's channel if you have the chance, and give her a subscription to her channel if you're so inclined and want to hear those kinds of things. All right, so getting down to the end of the chat, finally, I think. Joan says, I'm on the pre-order campaign and I'll back when it goes live. Thank you very much. Every order is what makes it up. I appreciate every last single one of you people that come and order my book, because that's you're making a dream come true for me, because I'm making comic books. So, it's something I've always wanted to do, just life got in the way. So scrolling down, let's see. Let's see. Vince says, Comic Inc. There's a name I haven't heard in a long time. So I think it's a question or a comment for someone else. So let's see. Nick says, agreed. I was a marketeer for 20 years. If you build it, they will come is a myth. Yeah, you got to have the hype. And again, um, the hype, hopefully, I mean, I don't have to say hopefully for the art because you're looking at, I'll re up the art one more time. The art will sell itself because you're looking at the most beautiful art for these three artists again, Nick Axe and um, Jim O'Reilly and Mike Gustovich. So yeah, but the art, I don't have to speak, it speaks for itself, the merit of it, and it generates its own hype because it's so beautiful. But hopefully we're going to do the same with the story. I'm going to this is the first time I'm going to give you a taste of the story within the Indiegogo page, so you can read some of the panels, and hopefully we'll get a little bit more hype going on just with the story itself. So scrolling down, see if I can get to the bottom of this. Let's see. uh Question here. When did you decide that the art of draw wasn't your thing? When did I decide? I didn't really decide. It was more the fact that I did not have the time. I used to copy Marvel and DC covers. I would just do my own version of them, and then I would make from that different copies of covers. But it just took so long for me. And again, I know that the better you get, the quicker you're going to go. But at the same time, um, and here's the thing, uh, and I don't mean this to have any disrespect at all for anybody who draws or inks or anything else, not in the slightest. But I just really understood that when I started to write stories, I could write 10 stories in the time it would take me to do a piece of art. And I could probably now today, I can pound out a story, you know, of 80 pages with a full script. I could do that in a week. Um, and if that's me doing it probably most of the day, but at the same time, I can do that, and I can put out stories a lot faster this way by being the writer. So scrolling down. So that was a long time ago. Just to answer that question, that was a long time ago. I haven't really drawn a whole lot since then. Maybe I'll get back into it sometime if I have more time. Let's see. Let's see. Scrolling down, I think I finally got to the end of the chat. And we have a whole lot of people talking to each other, which is great. So we still have 21 people here. And look, you're looking at some of the, oh, I forgot. We also have this pinup poster here, which is the Harpy pinup poster. That's Henry Martinez, I do believe, if I remember correctly, off the top of my head. Again, he's an old Marvel hand. He used to do Ghost Rider back in the 90s for Marvel. It will be Johnny Blaze. I probably own all of his comics that he did for Marvel. But anyway, so there's plenty of artists and plenty of beautiful art to go around in this book and in this campaign. So we go live in 2 days, depending on where you are in the world. It might be 1 day. And as I said, if you sign up on the early bird page and leave your email, which is how you sign up, I will give you a email reminder just when we go live, so that you can come and purchase the book right away on the first day. Also, you will be getting a free exclusive pinup poster if you sign up early and then buy anything from the campaign. Again, it is exclusive because it's a new piece of art that is commissioned by me for this exact poster, and you can't get it in the campaign itself. It won't be available in this campaign. So if you sign up early, you still got 2 days left to sign up on that early bird sign up page, which link for it is in the description if you want that free poster with your book. And I am working furiously trying to get everything done on the Indiegogo page. Hopefully, I will see you all over there on the day of our opening. On the night of the opening, we're doing a live stream with Michael Bancroft over at his YouTube channel is just Michael Bancroft. He is the producer of The Lucent. If you know that book, if you've ordered that book, the show used to be called Late Night with Comicsgate, but I don't think they use that title anymore. I'm not entirely sure. So it's still what I think of it as. It's Late Night with Comicsgate, if you ask me, but it's Michael Bancroft. And again, we're going to go live at 9 o'clock Eastern, I think he said, which is going to be on Friday night, which is the day we open. But we're not going to be opening on his live stream. I will be opening prior to actually going on that live stream. So I will see. I was hoping to do more live streams this week, but the problem is that I'm just pouring all of my energy into making sure everything is just done right on the page, so you can see exactly what you're going to get, or the best we have for the art right now, because some of the things might not have completed art as of yet, because again, we're only on about a little over a third for the art for the book, but I'll give you the best we got. And that's not any mean feat, because we have such beautiful art, and you're looking at it in the background from so many beautiful artists. So anyways, Krom the Destroyer opens in 2 days. I am going to say goodbye to everyone, and Bancroft, Bancroft, I think is how you spell his last name. He's Australian, so where that comes from, I have no idea. I'm going to leave you with, it is crunch time. That is a comment just popped up. It is crunch time. Yeah, indeed. I'm going to leave you with the second trailer for Krom the Destroyer. I never really realized this, but when I did my 2 trailers, because I did them so far apart, the first one is because my main character, he doesn't really have a name. At the first of the book, he's just called King because he's the king. Everyone just refers to him as King. But the first trailer, which was at the first of this live stream, was from the King's perspective. The second trailer is from the Queen's perspective. Which again, you get your beautiful women in there. So you got the 2 ends of the spectrum of 2 of the central characters for this book, the King and the Queen. So I'm going to leave you with the trailer, the second trailer, 45-second trailer for Krom the Destroyer. And I will hopefully again see you all on the Indiegogo page or on Michael Bancroft's stream on Friday. All right. I'll see y'all later. Bye.
No matter how many wars you fight, no matter how much blood you shed, no matter how much rage you loose, no matter how many demons you face, no matter how many companions you lose, no matter if our kingdom falls, I know that you will return to me in honor.